Hello, everybody. This is Morality Matters, and I am your host, Michael Belton. And I'm joined with a very special guest tonight from GY6. Welcome, Andy Jenkins.
Man, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me, Michael.
Oh, man, it's so great to have you on here. And we have a really incredible topic tonight for everybody who's doing this. We're going to be talking about moral injury. This show here, obviously, we're about Morality Matters. And in the process of morality, we can be injured, can't we?
Yeah, I mean, well, surprisingly enough, absolutely, that's a normal part of doing the great work that a lot of the people that are paying attention to us right now actually do every single day.
Yeah, and so if to start us out, I think this is a term like people think when they hear it, they might know what it means. Can you give us like a really good definition of like what is moral injury?
Yeah, that's a great question. Moral injury, let's contrast it with post-traumatic stress. So, because that's one that most people know about. And so when you understand the one, almost automatically you can start drawing lessons for the other. So, post-traumatic stress is a response to external stimuli outside of you. And when an event that you've been through occurs, that's an elevated experience, it's always stored by your subconscious, and then all the sight, sounds, textures, taste, sometimes even the smells, they're stamped in your memory bank. And then in the future, when you encounter the same stimulus again, it immediately sends you into this response that mounts up. And here's the word everybody uses: triggered. And it's a great word. Now, it's abused and it's misused, but you're triggered into responding in the present as if it was the past, and it's all external. So let me give you a classic example, just one. A lot of times, service members will say, well, when I came home from deployment, it took me a while to realize that when it was thundering outside, I was not under mortar fire. Okay, there it is. External stimuli, your whole body, quote, keeps the score. You encounter the same stimuli, and then you're triggered into the same response that you would be before. Moral injury is a little bit different. Rather than being a response to externals, it's a response to internals. Now, you're raised your entire life with a certain code of ethics. For instance, here's the most basic: you should not kill. Now, in the line of duty, you're called on to draw a weapon, to possibly use that with lethal intention. Well, right there, even though you could logically say it was for a good, even a great noble cause, it creates this rift. And it's moral injury is when, now based on some event that's outside of you, it's become internalized. You're questioning the ethics because there's a rupture between what you expected to be of a good, noble, upright person, and then your real world experience doesn't match that. And so it creates this internal, here's the feeling: guilt and or shame. So as whereas PTSD, external, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, moral injury, internal, guilt and shame. And it's really more difficult because with post-traumatic stress, you can you can always get away from those external stimuli, or you can guard against them. But you know this phrase: wherever you go, there you are. So when it's a rupture or a disconnect between what you thought would be true and but would be your real world experience, and between what actually is your real world experience, there's the disconnect. And that's when the guilt and shame start taking over. Does that make sense?
It sure does, and I think obviously with my deployments and so many of our viewers have is they probably experienced a little bit of both. And the
Yeah,
way that I always try to kind of differentiate the two is it's one thing to experience trauma, right? From just the effects of combat, being under fire, seeing death, going through those types of things, and that's the post traumatic aspect of it, just dealing with the trauma of combat itself. Um, Taking a life, as your example, is a good one when it comes to moral injury because it's not natural
right.
to actually kill. But what I found a lot of times is not only just active killing, but sometimes those gray area decisions that you make. Did I make the right call? And
Right.
one of the experiences that happened to me in Iraq, and I would like to share with my viewers as well, is is I was really caught in what I thought was a moral injury that could have actually been a lot worse than what it was. But I remember being a commander during initial invasion of Iraq, and we were running low on ammunition. So I took 3 soldiers and I said, "Hey, 20 clicks back was our last known ammunition supply point. I need you to run back there and get more ammo and bring it up." So they took a truck and they went back there to grab more ammo. And normally 20 clicks away, you would expect them to get there, load up, get back in less than an hour. And an hour went by, 2 hours went by, 3 hours went by, they weren't back. So automatically I put together this detail, right? Hey, you need to go and send a security detail out there and go find him. And they went the route, came all the way back and said, "Sir, we couldn't find him." So all of a sudden, all these things go through your mind, right? You're just going through and
Yeah.
you're just like, what happened to my soldiers? I had now have to report I had 3 soldiers missing in action. We had all kinds of enemy forces around us. We were engaging it with the Medina division. Who knows what could have happened? They could have been killed. They could have been captured. If they were killed, I would have expected to see a blown up vehicle, maybe their bodies, but they just vanished, which was very weird to me. Were they captured? All of a sudden, we were told we had to move. I don't want to move. I have 3 soldiers that their last location where I'm at is right here. This is
They're
where they're
coming back
supposed
to
to
you.
return,
Yeah.
right? I'm ordered to move. We move, and I now live with the decision that I made. Did I send enough security forces with them? Were they captured? Were they killed? Are they in enemy hands, or what happened? Like, what happened to these soldiers? And now I'm leaving soldiers behind. We're trained never to leave soldiers behind. And I have to give the orders for my company to move. Now, what happened, long story short, everybody, is because we were engaged with the Medina division and we were taking on fire, it was the cloud of war and everything else like that. An artillery unit was there also, and the ammunition supply point had to move, and everybody was ordered to help grab as much as they can because we all had to move. And that artillery unit took my soldiers, and they told them, "Hey, we'll get you caught up to your unit later, but we have to move." For 3 days, I lived in the darkness of wondering what happened to my soldiers. Eventually, I got them back
Yeah.
by the time I got reported. But what if it happened worse? Because the thoughts that went through my mind is maybe I should have had a greater security detail. Maybe we there's a lot of different ways to handle an ammunition resupply, right? And maybe just sending 3 soldiers out on their own was the wrong call to make. And if they were killed, I would have had to live with that.
Yeah. You go, oh, it's my fault.
It's my
Yeah.
fault,
Yeah.
right? And and people probably would have meant well and said, "Mike, you did the best you could. It's not your fault." But that wouldn't have changed my thought that it was,
Right.
right? So when I think of that, I think that's a moral injury. Like sometimes there is no right or wrong answer. Sometimes you make the best answer, but then you just start questioning whether you made the right call.
Right.
Fortunately for me in this situation, the soldiers were fine, but it very much could have turned out very differently. And
Well,
and
and
I
you
will
also
tell you, it was tough. It was a very, very tough 3 days without him. So
and put yourself in their shoes too. They've been sent off. They know you need more ammo. And so now they're stuck. We've got guys on the front lines. We're supposed to and now they've been ordered to stand down. And that's where the moral injury dilemma most often comes in. When you grow up, you think that moral injury would primarily be either, let's say it like this: the bads you commit or the goods you omit. So the bad things that you do or the good things that you should do that you don't do. So like the book of James says, to the one who knows to do good and doesn't do it, it's sin. So you think that as long as I do the right thing and don't do the wrong thing, you're going to be okay. Moral injury most often occurs in these, and I think we actually even brought a graphic that you can about the complexity of it, where you can flash that. I listed, and this is not an exhaustive list, but it's almost 10 different categories of moral injury, and you have everything possible on that list of, hey, you neglect a possible good, something you thought you should have done, and you replay it over and over and over, or it's an abnormal action like firing your weapon, or it's a you try something that would be good. Um, try to execute this mission and then we lose a man, or a man gets injured, or there's a bad outcome. We're not able to save the person. Or you don't see the signs of something bad that's about to happen. So either you order your men to move forward, or someone that's under your watch commits suicide and you didn't see the signs coming. And then all of a sudden you start playing the blame game, or survivor's guilt. So, in some sense, you survived something, they did not, and you wonder, oh man, if I was there. Other examples, you're the victim. So every female that I know, and this is true of men too. I was talking to an American Legion post the other night, and one of the men said that happened to me. Every victim I know of rape and abuse feels like they were wrong, and that somehow they might have even caused it. It's their fault. And he said, no, 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 you were the victim in this. You didn't cause this, but there's still that moral rupture between what they believe to be true and then what actually occurred. Another example, an accident occurs, or you're ordered to stand down. You could have helped somebody, but then orders come from on high. And that might have been what your men might have felt in that instance. Now they got to stand down rather than taking ammo up forward. Sometimes you see things that just defy all ethical sensibility, or even betrayal is one. So you've got all of these complex ways, and just like you described, people could try to talk you through it and say, hey, hey, look, you weren't wrong. You did the best you could. But you cannot talk your way logically through trauma, um, whether it's post-traumatic stress or moral injury or any other type of trauma. You
Yeah.
can't just
So
logically verbalize your way through it.
no, I think that that's really good. So one of the things I want to ask you is about this heal the hurt that you have. Can you
Yeah.
explain a little bit to about this to us?
Yeah, let's just walk through it. So think logically with me. If let's just use the example of either a veteran military personnel or a first responder, and in the line of doing their daily duties, they could be injured. And this is true of anyone, by the way. You could be injured, I think, in one of three ways. You are a tripartite human being, meaning you've got a body, you got a soul, and you've got a spirit. Now, the disclaimer on this is going to be, I'm being very simplistic. Every single part of you is interconnected and affects every other part. But that said, let's just kind of separate them out to where we can understand them. If your body is injured, it could look like a broken bone, it could look like a wound, a scar, it could even look like a traumatic brain injury. A lot of people think traumatic brain injury, TBI, is post traumatic stress. It's not. TBI is a physical injury. Your soul could also be injured. That's the area of your emotions, your thoughts. And when your a soul is injured, it looks like post traumatic stress, whether it's at a diagnosable level, which for most people it's not, or an undiagnosable level. When your spirit is injured, that's your spirit, your conscience, that's going to be a moral injury. And the key here is you've got to heal the kind of hurt you have. So if I've got a spirit hurt, moral injury, and I treat it as if it's post traumatic stress, which a lot of people do because they don't know the difference between the two, it's not going to heal that hurt, because it's very much like if I broke the right arm and put a cast on my left arm, it wouldn't heal that arm. It would be an adequate healing protocol, but it's just the wrong healing protocol for that injury. So you've got to, if that makes sense, heal the kind of hurt that you have.
No, it really does. And I think you have another slide on that, don't you?
Well, I've
Uh,
got one that's very similar where you're talking about kind of the key distinctions between PTSD and moral injury. If you'll flip through, there's going to be one that actually says other key distinctions. Let's go back
I
one
see it
slide
here.
right there. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you're thinking about back to the example at the beginning when I'm defining all of this, post traumatic stress, it's really a response to external threats. Now, it's going to take the form of, and this is unique not only to each individual, but unique to the actual threat. It would take the form of fight, flight, freeze. or even fawn. So flight, you might just run away. Fight, you might just engage the enemy. Freeze, that's the classic deer in the headlights where you don't even know what to do. You just kind of, which deer in the headlights is the correct response, by the way, out in the wild. Because if a predator's coming after a deer, all of a sudden they freeze, you can't even see the deer. But when they're crossing a road and see car lights and then take that response, it's just like our post traumatic responses. It's the right response, wrong time and place, boom, deer gets hit, or boom, you react in the wrong way, and then you get injured and other people, you create all kinds of chaos. Fight, flight, freeze, fawn is a lot of placating or just kind of being subservient to the person. You'll see that a lot of times in dysfunctional relationships. And I've seen that again with males and females alike. And it occurs generally, post-traumatic stress generally it occurs when you're triggered by certain sight, sound, smell, texture, taste that reminds you of the previous. And it could just be in your subconscious. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're thinking about it, you're reacting. Moral injury, that's going to be an internal threat. It takes the form of guilt and shame. Guilt based on the action that you did or the action that you did not do. Shame is when you internalize it so much that it becomes part of your identity. Meaning,
Mm.
not only did I do a wrong thing or failed to do a right thing, but I am a wrong thing. I am not even worth being human. This is when people start judging themselves and saying, hey, I don't even need to hear from you. Like nobody can be a harsher critic on me than what I've already been. And that one, it's a little bit different because this guilt and shame, moral injury, whereas post traumatic stress occurs generally when it's triggered by some external thing, moral injury just continues lingering and it's there kind of in that spirit, hurt, conscience. Again, that phrase, wherever you go, there you are, it just seems to be this consistent thread that's going on and on and on. Now, there's
Yeah,
another
I find
slide
that
if you'll,
very interesting because I minister to a lot of veterans and police
yeah,
officers and so forth, and I've actually worked with a lot of veterans that are actually ashamed of their military career,
right,
or they're upset on of something that happened to them in their military career to the point where they don't feel like they gave honorable service. And that's the hard part for me to hear because it's like, no, you did an extraordinarily honorable thing and you served your nation. You know, you can't, I know it's hard to say that and for it to become, for them to rationalize it to become true, but uh, they'll have it in their own mind that because of a decision or a circumstance that they were in and how it turned out, define their entire service as whether it being honorable or not honorable,
right.
which is which is to me s- so heartbreaking that that happened to a soldier like that. Like, no, again, you can tell them like you made the best call that you possibly can make at the time, and you were the right person to make the call at the time. And even if the result didn't turn out to be like you wanted to be, it was still honorable. Another thing that I'm dealing with right now is veterans who served during the initial invasion in Iraq in 2003, where I was the commander. And people
Yeah,
go, well, why did we even do the war? I don't understand why we really ended up doing it. Now, so many years later, I don't see the purpose in it. And I lost so many friends, right? Or even Afghanistan, because I did multiple deployments to Afghanistan. Okay. We did all these things and look how we pulled out. We went there beginning to prevent the Taliban from assuming power. Today, after 20 years of combat of there and the way that we pulled out of Afghanistan, who's in charge? The
right.
Taliban. So what did we do it all for? That is a moral injury that veterans are dealing with.
You're
Is
exactly
like
right.
that's not PTSD. That's moral
Right.
injury. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Moral
what I
injury
try to
again.
tell people, at least when I'm ministering to them, right, is what you did was honorable. You answered the call to your nation. even if the overall macro result didn't meet your own expectation, you have to ask you for the small cosmic that you were able to control through the areas that you were able to make a difference. Did you serve honorably? And in every case, that's proven to be true, you
Right.
know? And so, um, yeah, that's really good. Can you share us a little bit more about what you're saying with this particular slide?
Well, this is what you're getting to right there. I mean, exactly what you're getting to. So take the example of your soldiers that you were with in Afghanistan. They come back from deployment, no matter whether it was one, two, five, whatever. And if they come home and all of a sudden on the 4th of July, they hear fireworks and it kind of causes them to jolt, that's going to be kind of a triggering response that might lead to fight. You know, they might get angry at the neighbor's kid, like "shut up, quit," you know, all this, or flight. Man, I just got to go in. I got to go somewhere dark and quiet. It's a response to externals based on somewhere you've been before, and it is causing you to, in the moment, feel exactly like you did in the past. And here's the thing: it doesn't prove anything wrong with you. It actually proves what's right with you. You were designed
Mm,
by God to store all those sight, sound, smells, tastes, and textures, and in the future, be ready to go and on anything. And so this works for positive stimuli externally. It's why you smell certain things and it instantly takes you to Christmas, or you hear a certain song and it takes you back to high school prom or the wedding or a time out with friends. It's why you step into an unknown environment while you're in deployment or first responder, you're serving somewhere, and you'll hear people say, "I didn't know what I was going to do, but all of a sudden, quote, the training kicked in." It's
right.
because you were designed by God who created you, quote, good, very good in Genesis 1. He created your nervous system to do all of this. And so when you carry those traumas, it's an alert that, hey, it's the right response. It's just the wrong time and place. That's external. Now, when you look at the other graphic, when you're talking about your soldiers coming back and all of a sudden asking these deeper questions about why were we there, or we lost these friends, or I feel so overwhelmed, or I feel guilty, or what if I had done this, or what if I would have not gone that direction, I would have done that, or you start asking all these what ifs, what ifs, what ifs, what ifs, questioning, questioning, questioning. Now you're no longer responding to something outside of you. Man, this is deeper. This has now moved from a soul. This is like a spirit type deal where you've got a deeper thing, completely different issue to deal with.
Yeah, and I think that's also important for people I talk to too, because generally, I speak a lot from the heart when I'm
Yeah.
talking with people, right? And sometimes when I'll do that, they'll just keep hitting you with the what if, the what if, the what if, right?
Yeah.
And I always try to say, because I know how I was in similar situations, right? And I have a lot of darker things about my deployments that I won't get onto on this channel, right? But I'll say, like, when you go down the what if road, it's a dark road. It's a spiraling dark road, and there's very little good that comes of it because you never get the answers that you're seeking. So what I try to encourage people is when you feel yourself going down the what if road, turn around. Don't go down that road. Know that it's affecting you. That you need to talk to people about it, and that. But going down the dark road, especially alone, you're going to find yourself more and more isolated by yourself, and that's not a good place to be. And really, you won't get answers there.
Right.
You really won't. And so that's the part where you really have to say, okay, this is affecting me a little bit more than what it should be. If it's, when it's debilitating, when you lose time and you don't realize that you're losing time, you're caught in these thoughts and a couple hours go by. I remember there's times I do that. I'll stand in my closet looking at, what I'm going to wear. And next thing I know, 2 hours later, I'm still standing in the closet and I haven't picked out what I'm going to wear because I'm going down the what if road. That's
Hmm.
not healthy. right? So I'm like, okay, I've got to turn around. I need to talk to somebody about this, and that way I can function from day to day.
Right.
Because true moral injury, just like PTSD, here's where they're common is they can be debilitating if they go untreated. To your
That's
point,
right.
they require a different form of treatment,
Right.
but they both require treatment. Otherwise, you can be very debilitated in life and it can affect relationships, job performance, everything else that's going on in your life. And who wants to live standing in a closet for 2 or 3 hours, can't pick out what you're going to wear,
Yeah.
right?
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's the bigger issue. Either one will keep you from moving forward into your purpose. It's really hard to walk in your purpose when you're clinging to past pain that's completely understandable and expected in light of what you've been through. So, if you're listening, you're watching, and you're someone that's dealing with whether it's post-traumatic stress or moral injury, I wouldn't take it as a negative sign that you're broken. I would take it as a positive sign that, goodness, humans weren't designed to walk through the trauma that we walk through. And so it is a natural response. If I jump off the back deck here at my house and fall 20, 30 feet, I'm probably going to sprain or break something. That's a natural response to go. It would not be normal to be able to fall off of that and there not be any kind of repercussion. It would
Right,
not be normal to go through the things that you've been through and for there not to be a post-traumatic response. It would not be normal to go through the things you've been through and there not be a moral compass type like. So if that's you, take it as a good sign that you're on the right track, that you're normal, that you're not broken, that you've got some work to do, got some stuff to heal, but y- you're not messed up.
yeah.
Make
So
sense?
everybody, I want to leave you guys with something that you do. Like if this is something that you're dealing with post traumatic stress, or if you're dealing with moral injury, you can always reach out to us. You can contact us on Serve Ministries Inc. .com. You could also reach out to Andy if you have questions with him. You can get with GY6 online. Reach out to him. Any other contact information I do if they wanted to reach out to you, Andy?
Yeah, I
Or
mean,
is
if
that
they'll go to GY6 online, I mean, right there, you can get my email, you can fill out a web form, you can get my phone number, or if they know you, I mean, me and you and some other friends of ours in the same circle, we're doing some things together. And so
that's
just
right.
show up at one of those things and walk up right to the front and say, "Hey, I'm so and so. I heard the stories on, the podcast, and man, let's talk." There is freedom and healing when you get it out there and you realize, man, you just shared part of your story, Michael. You get it out there and people realize, man, I'm not the only one. Like
That's right.
I'm not the only one who walked out in the rain and got wet. I'm not the only one who walked through the mud storm and got some stuff slung at me. It's
There you go.
normal.
It's normal. Yeah, and thank you so much, Andy. We really appreciate you being here with us today. I think this was a great discussion. It's a perfect for morality matters because when we're conflicted with all these different moral choices that we're making, sometimes we get injured, right?
Right.
Sometimes we second guess ourselves. And to Andy's point, that's just normal. And so we hope you found this particular episode engaging. And until next time, this is Morality Matters, and you guys take care. Be blessed.